Good evening, everyone. Thank you once again for tuning into the District of Illinois Alpha Phi Alpha Fireside Chat. I am Brother Dr. Leonard C. McKinnis II, the Illinois District Director. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this series that we have been engaged in over the past year, introducing brothers to our district, but also having great conversations that impact both our fraternity, our district, and the world. In fact, our most recent series in the Fireside Chat dealt with faith and Black Greek life. That segment was well attended with over 700 views on YouTube. And so we thank you for tuning in and for supporting this endeavor. I am extraordinarily pleased tonight with the show that is before you and that which waits you this evening. We have a very special guest in the like of the incoming General President, the General President-elect of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Lucien Metellus. And in just a moment, you will see him on stage. But for the time being, I want to thank you again for tuning in. Do me a favor, please share this. Let your family and friends and fraternal brothers know that we are about to have a conversation with the next man to lead our prestigious organization. Let me welcome to the stage the District of Illinois historian, Brother Chuck Smoot, and the Illinois District Assistant Chief of Staff, Brother Alexander Williams, as we get this night started. Brothers, good evening. How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Excellent. So, Brother Smoot, you become a veteran to this. You have been engaged in these conversations for the last year, and they have been well viewed. And how are you feeling tonight about the conversation that you're going to have with our incoming General President?
Well, I think this is just another example of the type of work that we are doing here in the District of Illinois and the type of conversations that we are looking to have. And so it is truly an honor to have the General President-elect with us to talk about issues that he may have. And, we may have one or two questions that we may want to ask him as, members of the District of Illinois.
Yeah.
But I think it is important that we have these conversations, that we continue to. To the point of I am not in Illinois right now, in lovely rural Vermont, with my girlfriend's family reunion, but this was such an important event that I did not want to miss it. So, I'm looking forward to what promises to be a very enlightening evening.
Excellent. And listen, because we believe in the power of college men, and in Illinois, we have been so focused on that, and we know that our regional vice president is also one who is quite fond of college men leadership. So we cannot do this without a college brother being involved in this conversation. And here in the district, we have great college leaders, and I am so pleased to introduce to you all the District of Illinois Assistant Chief of Staff, a Theta man, a man of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Brother Alexander Williams. Brother Alex, how are you doing tonight, my brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well yourself.
Good, man. I'm so glad you're a part of this conversation. I know that Brother Metellus is excited to engage not just our current brothers, but the future leaders of our organization, like men like yourself. Let me do one order of business. In their absence, let me acknowledge the sitting General President of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Brother Dr. Willis L. Lonzer III. And let me also acknowledge our leader here in the Midwest region, Brother Franklin Stacy Jr., who, of course, supports these kind of endeavors, and we are so thankful for their support and their leadership in our fraternity. But listen, brothers, as has been typical fashion, I'm going to go backstage, let you brothers have a great conversation with Brother Metellus. Before I do that, Brother Alexander, will you do us the privilege and welcome and introduce to the broader public the General President-elect of Alpha Phi Alpha, Brother Lucien Metellus?
Of course. Before I introduce him, I would like to share a couple points on his bio and let you guys know who you guys are going to be speaking to. A man of Haitian descent, Lucien Metellus was born in Brooklyn, New York, where he attended a Holy Cross school. At the age of 14, his family moved to Queens, New York, and then he attended the now closed Springfield Garden High School. education continued at Syracuse University, where he secured a degree in policy studies. Brother Metellus entered the House of Alpha and Zeta Zeta Lambda chapter, which is seated in St. Albans, New York. Since that time, he has served as chapter president, vice president, and other various positions. He has served as a chapter advisor for the college chapter Theta Epsilon, seated at St. John's University. He is also a life member. His service at the district level includes tenures at the district director of competitions, New York State director of conferences, New York City area director, New York State president, and district director. Throughout his time in Alpha, Brother Metellus has been active and has been in service to the fraternity's Eastern region as the 28th Eastern Regional Vice President. Among those, he also sat as the board member, parliamentarian, vice president, and president for the Pan-Hellenic Council of the Greater New York within his city chapter MPHC. The Pan-Hellenic Council represents 9 historically Black Greek-lettered fraternities and sororities, also known as the Divine Nine. On January 12, 2024, he was officially elected as the 37th General President of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and will take office officially on January 1st, 2025. Professionally, he has worked in the field of information technology for over 20 years. In keeping with fraternal traditions of service of all, Brother Metellus has provided assistance to Shelter Our Sisters, a domestic violence shelter in New Jersey, Youth Partnership of Bergen County, and has been a Boy Scout troop leader, and also has worked with the March of Dimes and Big Brothers and Big Sisters of America. Additionally, he was a published poet and writer. At present, he serves as the chair of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee appointed by the mayor in Frederick, Maryland. He also teaches the word to young adults in the area of Christian education to his church and has served as a minister in various churches. This Alpha man is also a family man who is happily married to Esther Slack Metellus, and they share a son, Jeremiah, and a daughter, Janae. Brothers, I would love to introduce you this evening, our General President-elect, Brother Lucien Metellus.
All right. Brother Metellus, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. I'm blessed. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Brother Metellus, listen, I am so glad to hear this conversation tonight, and I want to wish you well. I'll be back at the end. Brother Smoot and Brother Williams will be conducting this fireside chat with you. I look forward to returning to the end of this program, but I look forward to watching it right now. So Brother Smoot and Brother Williams, the floor is yours, and the General President-elect of Alpha Phi Alpha for the Lucien Metellus Jr.
Thank you, Brother District Director.
All right, Brother President-elect, how are you this evening?
I'm blessed, Brother Smoot. How are you?
I'm. It's good to see your face, my brother. So therefore, I am doing well. I am. Once again, I do want to thank you for agreeing to join us this evening. I want you to know that we have a distinguished individual here with Brother Williams.
Yes, indeed.
This promises to be a enlightening conversation. But I want to kick things off and ask a very basic question. Brother Williams just read your bio, your very impressive bio, and there are actually a couple of things that I learned that I didn't know that I'll try to follow up on a little bit later. But let's start with the very basic question of why Alpha? What drew you to Alpha, and what made you desire membership in our organization?
That's a great question, Brother Smoot. So I'm going to start from the beginning. I didn't really know much about Greek life when I entered into college. I knew that Greeks did certain things and they did community service, but I really didn't have an interest in Greek life until someone approached me, and not to recruit me for Alpha, but actually asked me, had you ever thought about Alpha Phi Alpha? And I'll tell you the truth, Brother Smoot, Brother Williams, I said, hell no. I didn't want to join a fraternity. But and sometimes it's not what you see in yourself, but sometimes it's what other people see in you.
Right.
And so I started to do some research, and I looked at the men on the campus of Syracuse University, and I saw Alpha Phi Alpha as not only being an only child, not only as a vehicle to become more productive in the communities that I serve, but I longed for brotherhood. And I did have brothers that, in terms of Black brothers, Latino brothers that were in the struggle with us in terms of helping move our people forward. But to have that fraternal bond was a real driving draw to me. And so I always tell brothers that, alphas will always find the way to the light, right? We need brothers that are just driven and love brotherhood and love about being service. So that's what really interested me. I didn't have an interest, but I was pointed in the right direction because someone saw something in me that I didn't even know I saw in myself. And that was how I became interested in Alpha Phi Alpha. And then I pursued it. As you heard before, I was initiated in spring of 1998 in the Zeta Zeta Lambda chapter.
Brother Williams, did you have anything you want to follow up on with that?
I do not. Thank you, brother.
All right, and so, Brother Williams, you served in a number of capacities on the district and regional level. Obviously, one thing that sparked my interest is that you did serve as a alumni advisor. And can you tell me how being an alumni advisor helped to shape your view of the fraternity?
So great question, Brother Smoot. So I'm going to tell two stories, very personal stories to me. Actually, three. So the first story I tell how it shaped me, and you'll see this in my passion. One as a college chapter advisor, as you know, Brother Smoot and Brother Williams, you experienced this in your chapter, Greater Theta, the eighth chapter of Alpha.
Oh, there you go. See,
so
you see, Brother Williams, they know how to recognize.
So from there, I had when I was advising the Theta Epsilon chapter, as you know, every year we try to get the grades of everybody and everybody's enrollment that's in the chapter, right? And so we had a young brother in the chapter at the time, and I was getting frustrated with him because he wouldn't tell me his grades, he wouldn't tell me his enrollment status. And one day I saw him and I just kind of unfortunately blacked out on him, right? And I was like, why are you not reaching out? Why are you not talking to, communicating with us? And he said very specifically, Brother Metellus, I just don't have the money to go to college right now, right? And so from there, what that lesson was learned is we started a scholarship in my chapter for college brothers to help them go to college. And what lesson did I learn and how did that shape me as an alpha? Never assume that you know what a brother's going through. Right? Never assume that you need to take a hard line because each of us are going through things that we don't know about. Number two, and it was a different brother in the chapter. This was a year or so later. We were in the process of bringing brothers into the chapter, and there was a little bit of conflict within the chapter. And I had texted a brother, and it was like, hey, what's going on in the chapter? You haven't reached back out to me. What's going on? What is the issue? And so he sent a text back to me. He said, Brother Metellus, I really want us to handle this as a chapter. And that's when I learned that as an advisor, you advise the chapter, but you don't need to run the chapter. Right. As an alpha advisor, you need to listen and provide guidance. There was nothing wrong going on. It was just an internal kind of conversation and issue. And so I had to learn as an advisor to let brothers run their own chapters and not try to solve all their problems. The third and most important, thing that I learned, and you see it in my platform about mental health for Black men, my first alpha advisor was my first assistant district director when I was district director of New York was from the Theta Epsilon chapter, which is Brother Qasim Rab. Brother Rab and I did a lot of great work together to help move the district forward. And maybe some years later, he and I were just chatting, and I saw him at an event at St. John's, and something seemed off. And at that point, I thought I wasn't any of my business to go into what was going on with him in his life, right? And a few months later, he committed suicide. And so for me, it's always important to remember that a kind word and telling a brother that you love him may mean more because you don't know the next time you're going to see him. And so we have to really be focused on mental health as a majority Black male organization. But we also need to be focused on making sure that each and every brother has a place that they can go to. And those are the kinds of things and systems we're hoping to deliver with the work of the board of directors and the general organization to every brother that needs it.
Well, and that kind of dovetails, I mean, since you said that's the type of things that you're looking to incorporate. So one of the questions will become, I mean, obviously you've served on several different levels in a number of capacities. And I know brothers tired you out. I know brothers got on your nerves as district director, regional vice president. What made you want to take on the mantle of becoming general president? And what do you see yourself bringing to that office?
So a couple of things. I can honestly say that, except for the office of correspondence secretary in my chapter, I've never ran for something because I wanted to run for it. Brothers pushed me to run for everything. That include district director, regional vice president, general president, chapter vice president. Even my first appointment as area director. A funny story: the district director at the time called me and said, "Hey, would you consider being the area director for your area?" And I said, "Nah, there's this brother. Why don't you ask him?" He said, "Brother, I did ask him." He said, "No, so I'm coming to you." Right? So that goes to the point that sometimes you don't know what other people are gonna, what other roles you're gonna be put in, but you have to always be prepared. And brothers pushed me to serve as general president. Why did they push me? Because one, they believe that I actually have a caring spirit for each and every brother, which I do. If you don't have a spirit to serve, then you shouldn't seek positions. You shouldn't seek positions. Position will always find you if you have a spirit to serve.
Great.
Right? And you need to be able to accept at the same time that you don't have all the answers. You need to incorporate the best and the brightest. That, like yourself, Brother Smoot, Brother Williams, definitely brothers from all over the fraternity. You need advice and clarity from all of you, not just one of you, but all of you. And that is how we can move the fraternity forward. And so when I ran for the office of general president, it was not about I can fix all of Alpha's problems or all the world's problems, but I know together we can really address the big issues, help move Alpha forward, and not only talk about Alpha for the next 4 years, but really focus on Alpha for the next 15 to 20 years. I want us to start thinking about spring 2024. Spring 2044. Not just think about spring 24. We need to think about spring 2044. Think about that, Brother Smooth. That's 20 years from now. But we really need to start putting things in place now to make sure that when Brother Williams is general president, he has less headaches than I do now. So we need to really invest in those long-term strategies. Think about the fraternity in that way, and not think about the fraternity in 4-year cycles, but actually put a plan in place for us for our long-term sustainability.
So, Brother Williams, did you want to chime in?
You're on mute, Brother Williams.
I do actually have a side question pinged off of that. So you spoke a little bit about how mental health and kind of the service of the efficacy of the brotherhood is something that's quite important to you. What do you think is some of the things you will be introducing during your term that will allow you to more effectively tackle some of the problems we see within the brotherhood?
So I'm glad you asked that question. So for a couple of things that we're going to do, first and foremost, let's talk about the mission statement. Alpha Phi Alpha develops leaders. We need to be more intentional about that component of it. And so what we'll really be investing in is the membership and leadership development, using our systems like Alpha MX, Alpha Elite, which is our community system, and Alpha University, which is our education system, to intentionally train not only brothers to serve leadership in Alpha, but to actually run for office in the communities that we're in, actually be able to be part of the solutions in the communities and campuses that we are on, actually train brothers for certifications professionally and intellectually so that they can be of the greatest service to humanity. Alpha Phi Alpha develops these, promotes brotherhood. We need to be more intentional about the promote brotherhood part. As you know, Brother Williams, when college days swiftly pass, but we need to make sure that we incorporate more brotherly events together, bring brothers together, and that starts from the top. If I'm not the most brotherly brother that I can be, then it's not going to resonate with the rest of the brothers. We need to make sure that we are intentionally doing things. So when we reclaim a brother, welcome him back to the house, but also retrain him about what Alpha's doing. When we have brothers in the house, making sure that we do more to keep them and doing real analysis, right? So, and we also talked about that mental health component. Alpha Alpha develops leaders, promotes brotherhood, academic excellence. We need to be more intentional about the scholarships that we give to our college brothers and those brothers going to graduate school. We need to increase our communication capabilities so that we can reach more brothers to provide them more opportunities for scholarship opportunities. And we need to promote our highest intellectual brothers in the Sphinx magazines and other communications as we do right now, but do it even more so that brothers can see what we're doing in the world and provide service and advocacy for our community. It's time that we update our national programs so that they incorporate more of what the community needs, expand the base, talk more about voting rights and voting opportunities with voteless people as a hopeless people, actually go to the grade school level, second, first grade, would go to high school, go to college, because we got to make sure that our young people go to college and graduate. Go to high school and graduate high school, right? And so we've got to make sure that we're more invested in that first provide more mentoring through Project Alpha, and actually take care of our college brothers with mental health we talked about with our Brothers Keeper, but also take care of our seasoned senior brothers with more access in academics and more opportunities at our conventions. Take care of them not just with a senior brother lounge, but make sure that we provide more services to their levels of need.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Brother Metellus, you mentioned something, and I want to dovetails right into my next question. You know, you will be taking the mantle of Alpha Phi Alpha in an interesting period, interesting history, time in our history. If things go well, we could see the first African American woman president of the United States, also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. We also have a number of critical issues going on across the country, not just related to voting rights, but related to education, related to housing, related to healthcare, related to domestic violence, a number of different things. So regardless, and even if Sister Harris does not win the U.S. presidency, what role do you see yourself and Alpha Phi Alpha playing within the United States over the course of the next 4 years?
So first of all, the most important 3 months are happening right now. So we need every brother of Alpha Phi Alpha out there making sure that we get every person registered to vote. Brother Lonzo and the board of directors has done an excellent job in helping promote that opportunity. I don't want to live in a world where women's rights to reproductive rights are taken away from them. I don't want to live in a world where our voting rights are stripped away. And I don't want to live in a world where we have our citizenship questioned by institutions. Black people in the history of this country have been the moral conscience of the United States of America, and we have that continued mission, especially in Alpha Phi Alpha. That being said, Brother Smoot, what we're going to do over the next century of leadership is we're going to intentionally develop brothers to run for office, regardless of party affiliations, that have an interest in serving their communities in leadership positions. Every Alpha should be involved on every ballot in this country. We cannot just be focused on the presidential election. We have to be focused on every down ballot election. There are nearly 500,000 elected offices in the United States of America, but we tend to focus on 433 plus 100 plus 1. Right? But we need to be focused at each and every local election. It doesn't matter. And I mean the elected positions in the United States, and I'm talking about the elected positions of student governments on the campuses we're on. Right. We need alpha men in each and every position. Now, here's the caveat to that. We have a lot chapters and brothers doing a lot right now, but we need to make sure that we are at the seat of the table addressing those issues. So as we roll out our program, right, we're going to make sure that we intentionally focus on developing leaders that will be able to do the things to get elected into office to serve the interests of their communities. And part 2 of that is that we're going to really push out training and education modules so that make sure that we're not only registering people to vote, we're educating people about what the policies and issues are of our time. I'm going to be, Brother William sees the picture behind me. I'm pro Black woman every day. Right? I'm pro Black woman every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And if there was an extra hour in a day, I'd be pro Black woman on that hour too. We need to make sure that it's not about necessarily getting a person of Black woman elected to the office of president. It's about electing somebody that has the interests of the whole country, not just individual people or communities or special interest groups in mind. So Alpha Phi Alpha is going to be an advocate over the next century, not just the next 4 years, but the next century, in promoting service for the downtrodden, making sure that every American citizen has the right to vote. And we're going to increase that 61%. That 61% was the number of people that came out to the American U.S. presidential election last term. We're going to make sure that within this 4 years, by the time we get to 2028 and we're going through this cycle again, that we get America to 80-90% voter turnout for a presidential election. And we're going to have 90% at the local elections. That's really the goal when it comes to voteless people, to hopeless people. And on top of that, we will be an advocate. We'll have brothers at the polls, brothers working the polls, actually, because people need to see people like us it at the polling stations in their communities, knowing that we have their back. And we'll also be there to also provide legal fights whenever their rights are taken away. So you're going to see that full commitment to me from me as a general president and various members of the fraternity as well.
Well, following up with that, there is a Alpha PAC, Political Action Committee. How do you see that factoring into the future plans of voter registration and education and advocacy, and especially in terms of what you're talking about, training and encouraging alpha men to run for elections? I was reminded while you were talking, the age-old saying all politics is local politics. And so I appreciate you taking that stance. But with the Alpha PAC, how do you see that impacting and playing a role in our future programs?
Well, just for clarity, the Alpha PAC is a separate organization from Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. We're a 501c7 organization, Alpha Phi Alpha, so we can't endorse candidates. The Alpha PAC is there to help endorse candidates, but what I think is, do more than that, also help raise funds and address policy issues. But what we want to do with Alpha PAC is we want to partner with them as talk about that training that I was talking about training elected officials. We're going to work to get a partnership with Alpha PAC so that we can partner and develop and train our next set of leaders. Brothers who have similar political affiliations will say, hey, if you want to make a contribution to the Alpha PAC. If you have an interest in helping serve those communities and helping move an agenda forward that you're interested in, right? Because we have a lot of political action committees who give to Act Blue and different things like that. But if brothers of Alpha or those in our communities that we serve want to give to the Alpha PAC, we should point them to that direction if they have a similar interest in the political stance. We're not taking a position on any candidate, but if there's interest in a candidate, we're going to make sure that the brothers in the communities that we serve that are interested and have similar ideals give to the Alpha PAC, because we need to leverage our strength as Black men. I want to make sure that Alpha Phi Alpha, when it comes to political organization, politicians in various offices and in the communities that we serve, is the premier and largest organization of Black men, majority Black men, to be in those positions to help service our communities.
All right, great. Thank you. Real quick, I just want to address a question that was put in the chat. Brother Antonio Johnson.
If I may,
I'm sorry?
If I may, Brother Smooth, I would love to take the time to introduce a good brother. Brother Antonio Johnson, the chapter president of New Delta chapter, also working as the assistant executive director for the District of Illinois and serving as the the Midwestern Region Assistant Chief of Staff. I just wanted to give him his credits where the credits were due. And he had asked a question in the chat, how can we better use Alpha MX and other portals that we have for brothers to connect to streamline the process from transition from college brothers to alumni chapters?
So first, Brother Johnson, I know who Brother Johnson is. He's one of those brothers we call high cotton. He's a very high level brother. His titles are only the surface level things. But Brother Johnson, thank you for your question. What I can say is what we're going to do is we're going to do three things. One, we're going to intentionally make sure that every college brother has an alumni mentor. We need to make sure, how does that help with transition? If you have somebody that's already been through it, it's easier for you to transition after you've graduated to get into an alumni chapter because you have someone that's a mentor that can help you assist with that. Number two, we're going to use our systems where communication is sent. So Brother Williams, what are you originally from Illinois?
Yeah, born and raised in Normal, Illinois.
No, Norman?
Normal, and then I'm going to school in Chicago.
Okay, so we need to make sure that when you graduate, a communication is sent to your area. So if a brother lives in Illinois but went to school in the West, when he comes back home, a communication should automatically be generated and sent to the chapters, letting brothers know that you're coming back. And the third thing that we're going to do, we're going to have an open house. We're going to do it like NFL draft day or college signing day. We're going to make sure that the alumni chapters in that area have an open house signing day, and they're going to come to college brothers and help them recruit. How do I know this work? Because it's something that we did as regional vice president before and after the pandemic. We actually had signing day in the districts of Maryland, DC, and Virginia, and in Pennsylvania, we made sure that brothers had events where the alumni chapters intentionally invited college brothers that were graduating to their events and tried to recruit them to the alumni chapter. We need to make it exciting to join an alumni chapter, because that's really where you have to double down on being brotherly and work on the brotherhood component of this whole process. So you're going to see us invest more and more in that and move that forward. I hope I answered your question, Brother Johnson.
So I think piggybacking off of that, I mean, given what you just said and given some of your past actions, what do you think can be done to better promote the condition of college brothers, both in our organization and outside of our organization? What can better be done to promote and support college students?
So a few things that we talked about the scholarship component earlier. I'm talking about all. Now let's talk about all college brothers and all college students. We have to, Alpha Phi Alpha has to be the voice, especially at our PWIs, fighting against the attacks against DEI. We need to be in those spaces as an organization, intentionally fighting against DEI. I am working to establish an Alpha Phi Alpha external and internal DEI committees to help address these issues directly, so that we're fighting to protect DEI. Now, from an HBCU perspective, we've got to have chapters start intentionally investing in endowment programs at the colleges and universities, especially at our HBCUs. We need to make sure that we're actually investing in that. And then I talked more about the mentoring component for our college brothers, but also assisting with academic excellence. If you're a chapter like Theta and you've got 6 or 7 brothers and all of them are doing well academically, there needs to be some kind of incentive at the end of that to reward for that high academic achievements. We know our college brothers are some of the highest performing students in America. And we need to celebrate that more and make sure that the world sees that. And so we'll leverage our social media in new ways to promote our college brothers. Now, here's the other thing. We're not just going to give college brothers titles in this administration. We're going to give them authority. So I want you to hear what I'm saying. We need college brothers to have authority. This is a school for the better making of men. If we're going to do that, we have to do that intentionally with a focused agenda and help push brothers out so that way they can be more successful after college. So we need to make sure that we not only have the assistant district director of Illinois, the assistant executive director, we need to make sure that we're pushing this out and we're really invested in making sure that we give college brothers positions of leadership. And you'll see that in the next administration in a very intentional way.
Brother Williams, you want to handle the comment that question just came in the chat?
Yeah, a question came in the chat stating, how many college chapters at PWIs are struggling now more than ever with membership numbers? How can Alpha and the Divine Nine get ahead of this downward trend?
So a couple of things. You're correct. There are a lot of PWIs where we're struggling. There's also another part of that. We're also struggling at some HBCUs as well. We have low numbers at some HBCUs that brothers don't even realize. What's going on here is we've had a direct assault on us. We've had a direct assault by the Supreme Court pulling back some of these opportunity initiatives that were there for years. We have attacks on access, like I talked about with DEI and opportunities as well. What we need to do to get in front of that is first train our young boys and girls and prepare them for college in the first grade. We need to be intentionally developing it in the long term. That's the long-term goal, right? In the short term, we need to invest in new forms of communications, trainings, and helping the issue isn't, let me say it like this. The issue isn't Black men going to college. There have been, in the history of America, these are the most Black men going to college than any other time. The issue really comes down to retention. How are we going to help keep Black males in school? Either through economic opportunity costs, which is the short-term solution. We've got to provide more economic support to them, to provide more mental health and financial and educational services to them, which are in the forms of tutoring, mental health services on campus and on and off campus. But 3, we also need to invest in more people that look like us becoming mentors and institutional leaders at the universities that we're at. We need a short-term strategy and a long-term strategy. I will reveal more of that, but I just wanted to kind of provide a very high level, because we can go way down into the weeds about that, but we need to start doing the work now to make sure that we keep our young brothers and sisters not only going to college, but keeping them through college. And that's really where we need to start. So that's the short-term goal. The long-term goal is to help increase the number of Black and brown students that are going to college, and that will increase our pool of interest. We need to reach young people exactly where they are too. We need to invest as Divine Nine. We need to invest more we need to realign our attitude and stop making the assumption that young people know what Alpha Phi Alpha is, or Delta Sigma Theta is, or Kappa Alpha Psi is. We need to invest in being a brand ambassador for our organizations and help promoting that more in communities that we haven't typically promoted ourselves in. Because a lot of our young brown brothers and sisters have never experienced Greek life till they get to college. And by the time they get to college, Brother Williams could probably talk about this in a better way than I can. You may become interested as a sophomore, and then you realize as a junior that you want to become a member of this organization. By the time you become a junior, you're in this kind of space, and then you're ready to graduate. We need to get in front of that, and we need to start promoting ourselves to high school sophomores, juniors, and seniors, so that when they get to college, they know Alpha Phi Alpha. There are a couple of ways we can do that. We, of course, can do it through our programs, but more importantly, we need to do it through reaching them in mediums that they're at, which is TikTok, which is Instagram, which is Snapchat. We can't keep staying on Facebook, Brother Smoot, and hoping that we reach our young high school students. You know, my son, loves social media. He's not a Facebook fan, right? So we need to find people exactly where they are instead of trying to force people where we are.
Well, and so then that brings up another question. What would you say to a young college student, or even someone who is thinking on the alumni level? Why should they become members of Alpha in this day and age? What is it that makes Alpha relevant that a young man in college or a young man just getting into the workforce, why should they become members of our organization?
Well, I could tell you the why, but I'm going to throw the question back to you. What are we doing that someone would want to be an Alpha? What are we showing people that would want us to go? So I always use this example, right? In the book of Acts, right? Paul is in jail for a crime that was superficial at best.
Right.
And as he's in jail, what he's not doing is he's not complaining that he's in jail. He's not complaining, and him and his friend are not complaining about the injustice. What they're doing at midnight is they're praying and singing psalms unto God. They're being mission focused, right? And as they're mission focused, the gates of the jail open. And then the guard who's about to kill himself, Paul says, "Don't kill yourself." And Paul says, this guard says, "How can I be like you?" He says, "Follow the way of Jesus Christ." What are you doing? Are you really being mission focused to attract the best and brightest men? And then on top of that, why should you be an Alpha? If you really see what we're doing from a day-to-day perspective, you'll understand that one, it's the brotherhood component. You can do community service anywhere. You don't need Alpha Phi Alpha to do community service. But what makes Alpha Phi Alpha and the other Divine Nine organizations unique is the fact that not only do we do community service, but that's how we bond in brotherhood and sisterhood. It's those events that we do together, those experiences that we have that bring us closer and make us a real family. If you're looking for an organization to do community service, you can find tens of thousands of great organizations that do them. I belong to some of them. But if you're looking to do it in a like-minded way to help advance the causes of the downtrodden, of the people, if you're looking for a way where you can develop as a better man, to become a better leader to the communities that you serve, to be a better father, to be a better husband, to be a better son, this is the organization for you, right? It's not an organization of, I'm here for a time and then I leave. These are lifelong bonds that you make. And sometimes those lifelong bonds will be bigger than the ones that you came in with. Sometimes your line brothers and you will be close, but then you run into like yourself, Brother Smoot. Then I gained this new relationship. Yep. Brotherhood, we are literally in the business of brotherhood.
Right.
And we need to make sure that we're promoting that and we're involved in that and we're invested in that.
All right. I want to back up a little bit to something from your bio. Then I want Brother Williams to ask a couple of questions that were in the chat. But one thing that came up in your bio, and one thing that you and I have talked about personally, we share a passion for domestic violence education and awareness,
Right.
and increasing and trying to stem the tides of domestic violence. I know you have done work in that area, as have I. How do you see Alpha playing a part in working towards stemming the tide of domestic violence and making brothers and individuals more aware of sexual assault?
So first, let's start with ourselves internally. We need to start training brothers about a few things. Signs of domestic violence. We need to actually address. I do believe this. I do believe most abusers have received some kind of abuse, and we need to be more conscious about making sure that we identify those in brothers in the fraternity and helping them get the right resources that they need to work through it. Part two of that is that we also need to partner with organizations that specialize in it, but we also need to start doing the work as men and dealing with the issues of what consent looks like, not hiding rape and sexual assault, right? And actually holding each other accountable. Being your brother means that I'm going to hold you accountable. You need to hold me accountable, Brother Williams, Brother Smoot, Brother District Director, Brother Crowder. You all need to hold me accountable when you see I'm doing wrong, not cover it up. We've got to stop creating a culture, and I'm not talking about Alpha Alpha, I'm talking about men in general. We need to stop creating a culture amongst ourselves that we don't. I'm not saying that. I want to make sure everyone deserves a right to a trial. Everyone deserves a right to a hearing. You are innocent until proven guilty, but we need to stop assaulting the victims, downgrading the victims, and provide them a space to tell their story, right? At the end of the day, we all know that there are always three sides to the story. It's your side, my side, and the truth. But we still need to make sure that victims are heard, respected, not demonized, and we push them out forward, and we push ourselves out forward as voices of women, as men, because we need to take our privilege as men and help protect women in all those spaces that I'm talking about. So to summate it one more time, we're going to do more training around sexual assault, sexual violence awareness, domestic violence awareness, internal for the members, where we identify members that have some potential issues. We're going to hopefully refer them to the right services and not necessarily throw them out because they have those issues, but work with them through those issues. But at the end of the day, we need to be in the business of protecting Black women and all women in general.
Brother Williams, you want to address a couple of questions that are in the chat?
Yeah, that was very well spoken, Brother President-elect. There's two questions in the chat that are pending at the moment. One poses, what will Alpha do to better the lives of those that are in their golden years?
So if I had to say myself as someone who always thinks about the back nine of life, what we need to do is we need to more intentionally take care of our senior brothers. One, we need to look at the structures of the organization, making sure that we reach them in the ways that they're comfortable with, right? So that what does that mean, brothers? We may have to invest in mailing some things directly to them, having a phone chain and training chapters on how to prepare for life after work, right? And then we also need to, and we can do that through Alpha University in person and different vehicles and modes and things of that nature. And what I would also recommend, and we do, is that there's nothing that helps someone that's in their golden years younger than a young person coming to learn from them. We need to create more interactive opportunities for young brothers to hear, understand, and learn from them. And also take this from someone that's getting closer to 50 than he is 20. You also need to get I also learn a lot more from my college brothers and my younger brothers than I do sometimes when I give them credit for. We need to invest in those interactive sessions of learning from both sides. I will sit back and tell you that I've learned to listen twice as much as I talk. And when I listen to my younger brothers and my college brothers, I learn a lot that I wouldn't be on TikTok if it wasn't for the college brothers. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? But now that's like my favorite app because of college brothers, right? And so you need to be able to listen as well. So we're going to provide services. We're going to help with estate planning and different things of that nature. You'll see some things that we have intentionally planned to roll out, but we're also going to make the convention experience based on where you are in this fraternal life more relevant to you and we're going to make sure that we do treat our 50-year brothers very well in this fraternity, but we can always do more.
Thank you. And then the second question that they have posed is there are some that say that Black Greek letter organizations have lost their relevancy. What is the current relevance of Alpha and other Divine Nine organizations?
I think, Brother District Director, the question is, so let me say it. Some have said that Black Greek letter organizations have lost their relevancy. I disagree. And here's why. I'll tell you why. Because I'm looking at two brothers right here that are very relevant in the worlds that we serve. The members of Delta Sigma Theta are having one of their regional conventions in Philadelphia right now, and they're providing service because they opened up the community banks and help service the communities while they're there at their regional convention. The brothers of Iota Phi Theta are doing things in the community right now. The relevancy part, I think, is that we have not done the best in terms of selling the greatness of the now. What we've done is we've always leaned in on the greatness of Martin Luther King, Maya Angelou, different people like that. But the reason people think that's not relevant is because we're not promoting the leaders that we have now. We're not promoting the Wes Moores of the world. Right before there was Black Lives Matter, there were organizations run by alpha men that were doing things in our communities. We need to make sure that we're promoting that. Now, what is the current relevance of Alpha and other D9 orgs? We have to be the training ground and the unifying force. You've seen it, brother District Director. When we had an election 4 years ago, I don't care what anybody says, it was Black and brown people, especially D9 Black and brown people, that helped get Joseph R. Biden elected as president. And and that next election will come. Now, do we have problems? Absolutely. There are things that we really need to address for the long-term sustainability and activity of this organization. But when I look at Brother McInnes, who's the district director, PhD, Reverend Brother McInnes, we know that we have still have a lot of great brothers in our communities. We need to talk about Alpha in the same way we used to talk about Brother King and all those other brothers. We need to promote those brothers that are in those positions now, doing real work on the ground and helping change the communities that we serve. We need to make sure that we have a unified voice as a Divine Nine. Let me tell you, when you put all 9 Greek-lettered organizations together, we can change the world very quickly, very quickly. With the billions of dollars that we invest in the communities that we serve, we can change the world. So it's not a question of relevancy, it's a question of direction. What direction are we going to? What direction are we focused on? Are we focused on nonsensical things? Or are we focused on the things that we said we took an oath to do, which was to be defenders of our communities, defenders of the downtrodden, defenders of our people, defenders of liberty and justice? That's where we're focused on. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And that's why people, when they see that we're focused on foolishness, say that we're not relevant.
You know, I think, Brother Metellus, were you on the first Win with Black Men call? That
Yes, I was.
You know,
I saw your $1 million donation, by the way, Brother Smuda.
Oh, thank you. And I saw your $2 million donation. But I found that one of the biggest complaints I personally got, and I don't know if you got this, and we really need to start getting ready to wrap things up. We don't want to keep you too long. But one of the interesting complaints was there were too many alphas on the call. And, you know, I had a friend, I was in a meeting last week, and they were like, man, you need to get your brother, talking about Roland Martin, and get some other people, you know, involved, some other D9 folks. And my response was, they got who was involved. And so I say that backing up your point of how we need to better promote people like Wes Moore, Michael Blake, you know, even Roland Martin, I forget the brother's name, who's the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, the representative from Nevada. We need to do a better job of promoting those brothers. What do you think about that?
I think not only we do need to do a better job of promoting those brothers, we need to do a better job of promoting the Brother Smoots of the world, the Brother Williams of the world, right? We need to, so wherever Alpha Phi Alpha is, when people ask, what is Brother Williams doing on his campus? Everybody should already know, right? What Brother Smoot and Brother Metellus and Brother McInnes are doing in the communities we serve, everybody should know. Alpha Phi Alpha should be, wherever we are located, should be a center of excellence. What does that look like? That looks like that when it comes to the Theta chapter on the campuses that they're at, when it comes to certain topics and issues, they know exactly who to go to, and that's the Theta chapter.
Exactly.
Right?
All right.
Those are the centers of excellence. And it's not only about being alphas. I would argue, and you all can disagree with me, it's also about a social responsibility that we have as a people. And I think it's driven.
And you start to say, it sounds like you start to say civil responsibility. And I would say that those two are hand in hand, civil and social responsibility.
Right.
Okay, so let's, I know you only have a limited amount of time, want to start wrapping things up. Brother Williams, did you have a parting question that you would like to ask our General President-elect?
Yeah, I'd love to wrap this up with one final question. Just more touching on the connections between brothers in collegiate chapters and brothers in alumni chapters. What is the importance that you place on the connections between alumni chapters and their areas with the respective institutions? We see a lot of the fall through coming through with the connections in between the alumni chapters connections with the institutions not being very great. And so how do we plan to combat that during your term?
So there's two parts to that. One, we as the general organization, and I'm talking about the general staff, the general headquarters, need to be providing more transparent opportunities for us to actually meet with the institutions that we're at. I think a lot of institutions don't even understand what Alpha Phi Alpha is, and we need to be better promoting that. Second part of that is that we need to intentionally, every quarter, and this is something that I'll work with the regional vice presidents on, making sure that every quarter that every Alpha advisor and area director is meeting with the universities that we're at, making sure that there's a direct connect partnership so they understand what the goal is. Alpha Phi Alpha should be in partnership with our campuses. Alpha Phi Alpha should not be window dressing on the campuses as an instrument to help with Black male recruitment, as an instrument to get these things done on the list of to-dos at the university, and there's no benefit for Alpha Phi Alpha, especially its brothers on the campus. So what we'll be is an advocate on all those campuses. Now, when it comes to the alumni chapters, we also have to realize, and I know, Brother District Director, I don't want to put Illinois on the spot, so what I'm going to say is that we need to start remembering that Alpha Phi Alpha is a collegiate fraternity founded on the basis of college men, right? And everyone says the lifeblood of the fraternity is the college brothers. All brothers are the lifeblood of the fraternity. But our existence, it depends on the college brothers. The college brothers will be the future of this fraternity. And we need to invest each and every day in them, invest in them intentionally in ways that makes you all successful, but not only makes you successful in college, but prepares you for the next 20 to 30 years of your life when you're seeking that first job and you're getting that six-figure salary. And what I will tell you is, well, you don't need to cross your fingers, Brother Williams. I just spoke it into your life. When you get that salary, right? You get that six-figure salary. I want Brother McKinnis to tell you how to invest that money, because I wish when I was 21 coming out of college, 22 coming out of college, I had someone tell me how to invest that first salary I got. I wish I had someone tell me these are the pitfalls that you need to avoid coming through, right? I wish I had someone to walk me through that process. Not saying that my life has not been blessed, well organized, and successful, because the Lord has allowed it to be so. But what I'm telling you is that I am not only am I here for you, Brother Williams, I'm here to tell all college brothers that this is the opportunity that you have to avoid the pitfalls that we all went through. And so I want to make sure that you hear from me that I'm here for you, brothers. Brothers, I want to thank you, Brother District Director, Brother Smoot, Brother Williams. You have been a blessing to me today. And I always want to make sure that before Brother McKinnis takes over, that if no one's told you today, brothers, that I do love you. I appreciate your leadership, and we can't do Alpha without you.
Brother Metellus, but before we hand it over to Brother District Director, I have one final question, just very quickly.
Yes.
In your opinion, who are the hardest working brothers in Alpha, and why are they deuces from Theta chapter? Can
Brother
you answer that
Metellus,
question?
Brother Metellus, don't answer that, Brother Metellus. Don't let him pull you into this.
Let me say this. I have yet to meet a non-hardworking theta brother. How's that for an answer?
And I'll take it.
There you go.
And you've yet to meet a non-hardworking deuce.
That's debatable.
That's very
Brother
debatable.
McKenna.
As an ace for life, I
Hey,
Oh,
very
brother.
debatable.
you hear that?
Yeah, exactly. AJ.
Brother,
See.
real quick, Brother Metellus, as we wind down with the last 4 minutes, as someone who writes and pays attention to history and what historians say, in 25 years, when the historians are writing a narrative about Alpha Phi Alpha, and they get to the chapter that is called the Metellus presidency, I wonder, Brother Metellus, what you hope the historians will write about your time as general president. What do you want the story to say was it about your impact and your vision for this fraternity? What will the historians say? And I want that to be your closing statement with us this evening.
I want the historians to say not about me, but about what we did. That we turned the tide on the assault against Black women, that we turned the tide and protected voting rights and made sure that every eligible voter got the right to vote, that we turned the tide on the decimation of our rights as Black people, that we turned the tide on the assault on women's rights, that we turned the tide on all those things in our communities, that Alpha Phi Alpha in this era, even though I was general president, started the trend to change the direction of this country, because wherever there is injustice, Alpha Phi Alpha must be in the lead. Wherever there is involvement in communities that we serve, Alpha Phi Alpha must be there. Wherever there is a young boy or young girl looking for a mentor, Alpha Phi Alpha needs to be there. So what I hope the history book writes about me personally is that I was pretty well dressed. But most importantly, what I hope the history book writes about is that Alpha Phi Alpha did the work to help save the communities that we serve. So it's not about me, it's always about we.
Wow, Brother General President-elect, thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time tonight. The men of Illinois are ready to support your vision as we work with our regional vice president. Let me also acknowledge, before we depart, the great work of our college leaders. I think you nailed it.
Yes, sir.
With college men, and Brother Williams is no exception to that. He is an extraordinary leader in this district. He is well postured, and certainly look forward to great things for him in the future. And as always, Brother Smoot, it's great to work with you in these endeavors as we showcase the greatness of our fraternity, not just to the men of Illinois, but to the broader public. And tonight was no exception of what that can look like. So with that being said, brothers and guests, thank you for joining us. And on that, we'll see you next time for the District of Illinois Fireside Chat.
God bless you, my brothers. Keep